Hello, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Can you guys hear me and see my screen clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good evening,
Thank you, sir.
everybody. Good evening. You're welcome to this week's FX review with Great White for the 19th to 23rd of no? For the 26th to 30th of June 2023. So without taking so much of your time, we're going to start off with the economic calendar. So looking at the economic calendar for this week, although there are high impact news, well, Wednesday is going to be pretty interesting. We have lots of Bank of England, Bank of Japan, Fed chairman. They're speaking at a conference, so we never can tell what they might finally say. Thursday is going to be interesting. We have USD news. So to me, once I don't have CPI or rate news for the week is fairly comfortable. So without taking so much, we're going to start off with the NASDAQ. So if you've been following me, you will understand what this chart is. This is just a chart that shows the swing highs and swing lows. So we're going to start off with the NASDAQ on the daily. If we look at the NASDAQ on the daily, we can see that order flow is still bullish on the daily. Order flow is still bullish on the daily. Well, if we go to the 4-hour, we can see that we are correcting on the 4-hour. The 4-hour is in a retracement to the downside. Then if we look at the 1-hour, we can see that we are kind of like, let me hide all my drawings. We can see that we're kind of like consolidating here. This setup here is still in play on the 1-hour time frame. So if we go into the major chart, what we're looking at coming into this new week, let me hide all my drawings. We can see that price slightly tapped into this high and pulled back on the weekly time frame. If we go into the daily time frame, we can see that we're having a bit of a consolidation above this fair value gap here. So going into the new week, if I put in my annotations, let me get where I wrote all this down somewhere. Trying to pull up my notes, so just please bear with me. So looking at this candle formation is what I call I call it 3CP, 3-candle pattern. Let me see if I can find an example of the bullish setup for you. Bullish, bearish, excuse me, bullish. Let me see if I can. Yes, this is another one. Bullish, bearish, bullish. Can everybody see my chart? Is anybody having, hello, can you all see my chart clearly?
Yes.
Somebody is saying they can't see my chart. You might need to sign out and sign back in so that you can see it clearly, please. So looking at NASDAQ, I would say this is going to retrace a bit. Going into the new week, it's going to retrace a bit. Then finally, we might see price come into this area. That's what I see on the US 100. It's going to retrace a bit. Then we might see price come down to this level. Because if you look at it on the weekly, it's rejecting from this high. So you might see price come in here, fill this area. Then if it will continue going up, I don't know. But going into the new week, first, you need to see price rally. It must not drop first. It needs to rally first. That's move up. Then maybe probably sweep this high here. Then, because you have equal lows here, you have almost equal lows here. So this will be where price will come into going into the new week. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is dollar index. Where we're going to be looking at is the dollar index. So looking at the dollar index, if we look at this pair, we can see that we have a change of character here and what looks like a reversal formation. We have this swing low here. We have this high. We have this lower low. Then price didn't break this low. If you notice, price didn't break this low. Then this high was broken. So be it as it may, although the dollar index is looking kind of like bearish, but we're going to see a bit of a bullish run going into the new week. There's a pattern you see clearly here. You see this low, high, this, and then this move. Let me see if it's clearly on the 4-hour. Yes, you can see clearly on the 4-hour. You can see the low, the high, and the lower low, and the close above it. So if we now go to the chart on the 4-hour, you're going to see it here. This is the low, the high, and the lower low. This is the low, this is the high, and this is the lower, and price has closed above it. So going into this new week, we might see a bit of a retracement. And if price is going to retrace, you'll be watching this last, this big candle here. Let me see. There's something else I noticed on the daily. Let me see if I can see it clearly. Was it on the daily I noticed it? Yes, that kind of pattern. This is it here. Remember, I was talking about the breakout on the daily. The pattern I was talking about on the daily, let me put back my candles. You see this break here? You see this formation here? That's this low, this high, this, and then price broke this. This price has come back into that location. So looking at this, now this breaker here, this last up candle, let me do something. Let me remove all my drawings. Now, this last up candle here, the low of this last up candle here, you see the way price respected it and rallied. So going into this new week, if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, this same last up candle here, you'll be watching it. So price may come down in there, retrace a bit. To be on the safe side, you can just use your fib from this point to this point and wait for price. If you notice, this 50% lines up with this structure point here. It may move lower, but should it move lower, you can see this low is coming into the 62% level. So that should be a level you'll be watching for a continuation. And if that is to happen, where would you be expecting price to come up to? Probably 103.75, maybe somewhere close to that area. That's where we'll be seeing price coming up to. But you just need to wait and see how Monday looks like, because on the weekly, you can see that price closed back. This is what you call a bullish piercing pattern, closed back deeply into the body of this bearish candle. So that points to the fact that we may see a bit of a retracement correction higher before a continuation back to the downside on the dollar index. Because if you look at the dollar index on the 4-hour, if you look at it on the 4-hour, we can see that price has knocked out some significant lows. So this might just be a retracement for a move lower. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is Euro USD. If we look at the Euro USD, full of the Euro USD chart, we can see that just like I pointed out last week, there is a mitigation here. Price came into it and you can see the rejection away from it. If we go down to the 4-hour time frame, we can see the breaker here and see the high, the low, the higher high, and the break out of that area. So if we go into the charts, this is a 4-hour chart. Remember what I said, the high, the low, this high. So this is going to most probably retrace. Going into the new week, it's going to probably retrace. How high it can go, I can't say, but what I will advise is you just take your fib from the high to the low and start waiting for it at the 50%. Anything above the 50%, you start looking for bearish evidence to go short. Your first target is going to be 108.44. Your next target is going to be 107.98. And if it moves lower, 107.40. Those are going to be your price targets on the Euro USD. Should this 4-hour breaker start playing out, because it has broken. It has played out on the 1 hour, but it didn't retrace that much on the 1 hour. This is it here. There was no retracement on the 1 hour. So it has now dropped to the 4 hour. So I'm of the opinion this may really retrace. The retracement might be very deep before they continue back to the downside. So you just need to wait and see what Monday has to offer. So the next we are going to be looking at is the GBPUSD. So looking at the GBPUSD, let's look at it from the daily. We can see that although it's in a long-term downtrend, but the order flow for now is bullish. Because that's the price has broken 1.2680 and it's currently in a retracement. So in this retracement, you can pick this low. No. You can pick this. So this is what you have. Let me use the fib. The fib is going to be better. So we have this here. So you can see it's still a little bit far from discount. That's the 50%. So you need to wait for it to come down here. And if you notice, this 50% lines up with this daily order block. As you can see, it lines up with this daily order block that has not been tested. And this order block is important because it was the last down candle before the break of this high. So if price comes in there, that's 1.2581, there's going to be a good reaction there for possible continuation to the upside. So for this pair, going into the new week, what I would like to see is for it to rally first. If it's going to rally, where will it rally up to? Where will it rally up to? You'll be watching the week of this candle. That's it for our candle. You'll be watching price to rally up into that area. Probably the 50% or slightly above. If it gives you bearish evidence, then you can take a short position, probably coming into that daily order block on the daily here. That's price may come down towards this point here on the daily. So that's it for the GBPUSD. We are looking at possible bearish situation on it after a retracement and a rejection back to the downside. The next pair we are going to be looking at is the gold. Well, for gold, I'll say gold has been pretty brutal to the bulls. Anybody trying to buy it, they've been getting their asses kicked. So if we look at gold, gold is still on the daily. If we look at gold on the daily, it has a breaker on the daily. This high, this low, this higher high. 1969 has been broken. So if you understand the implications of this may really still move lower. Long term, this might still move lower long term. But if we look at it now on the 4-hour time frame, you can see order flow is still technically on the downside. Then on the 1 hour on Friday, we had a kind of like waking up system. We had this low, high, lower low, and the close above. Now my concern here is, although price has closed above this point, it didn't make any new high. So this week on gold, we have, let me go to the 4-hour time frame. It's not very clear on the back. We have an order block here. You can see it. These two down candles here. These two down candles here. So going into this new week, you'll be watching 1913.54. This entire area to hold that support for price. And if it should hold that support for price, it doesn't mean that this may not come lower. There's a possibility this may still, price may still try to come down to this area. 1912.49. There's a possibility that may still happen. But as long as this 1910.20 is intact, there's a possibility we may see price come up to 1939.54. You can see we have almost equal lows, equal highs here. This structure point and this high here at 1956.84. So, but the first that will tell you that there is a bullish setup on this pair is a close above 1939.54. Once you have a close above it, then you are set up for a bullish run on this pair. So for this pair, we'll be cautious, although it's giving a bullish setup, but we need to see it make a new high to confirm the move higher. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is the EURGBP. So looking at the EURGBP, on the daily, order flow on this pair we can say is still on the downside. It's still basic. It has swept 85.47 and no new high has been made. If we go into the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we have what looks like a breaker of a sort on the 4-hour time frame, because we had this low, high, this lower low, and then price. This is what I was saying on gold. You see, this has made a new high, but gold did not. So there's a possibility that going into the new week, we might see a bit of a corrective run on the EURGBP. But it might not be that much, because if you look at the weekly did not close near his highs. So what we are going to see into this new week on the EURGBP is probably a retracement, a steep retracement higher. Let me post the previous. Okay, you can see we have equal highs here, so we might see a bit of a retracement. So you can just basically do this, put your fib from the high to the low. Once you do that, you drop down to your either 4-hour or 1-hour time frame. Then you wait for a retracement, probably into this area. So if you already look at it, you can see that this other block here lines up with the 62%. So if you're going to be looking for a short, it will be around this area on the EURGBP. So what you'll be waiting for is something like this, a rally here, then a move back down on the EURGBP. So the next pair we're going to be looking at is GBPCHF. The GBPCHF is, we might see a bit of a downside on it. If we look at it from the 4-hour, we can see that this high has been broken by 12.37. So as long as this low remains, there's a possibility this may still move higher. But for now, price is retracing on the 4-hour. Price is retracing on the 4-hour. And why is price retracing on the 4-hour? Because it ran into structure on the daily. I think it's on, no, it ran into this bearish structure here. And see, it ran into this bearish structure here. Let's see. As you can see, this bearish structure here is where price ran into. Let me see, is this high still intact? So it ran into that point, and now we might see a retracement. So if we go into our charts, we're going to look at our weekly chart first. You can see there's a clean break above this high. So this might be a retracement for price to continue higher. So on the 4-hour, we're going to be watching this. On the daily, you have this order block here. This bullish order block. Price has not tested it. So you'll be waiting for price to come in there, give bullish evidence. If that should play out, let me go to the 4-hour time frame. If that should play out on the 4-hour time frame, your range is going to be from this low to this high. So you'll be waiting for price to come in here. Then if that happens, your first TP is going to be 1.1506. The second, 1.1577. And should it move very high, 1.1672. Those are your profit targets should this retrace. So what you'll be waiting for is something like a retracement into this area, something like this, then a continuation back to the upside. So that's what you'll be looking out for on the GBPCHF. That is provided price does not start off rallying. It needs to drop first before rallying. So that's what you'll be looking out for. So the next is going to be the yen pair. So looking at the yen pairs, I don't have any data on my, when I mean any data, let me pull out my yen basket. My yen basket, I don't have anything that much to the left. If I look at it on the weekly, I don't have any other data here. I don't have any other data here that I can use. So I don't have any other data. So I'm electing to use the Nikkei. The Nikkei has an inverse correlation to the Japanese, to the yen pairs. So what does that mean? If the Nikkei is bullish, it is yen weakness. If the Nikkei is bearish, it is yen strength. So if we look at this Nikkei from the weekly perspective, this is the first time on the weekly that we are having a bearish candle. Let's go to the monthly. You can see that since the beginning of this year, the Nikkei has been very bullish. Has been like one-way movement. So if we look at it now on the weekly, we are having the first bearish candle, which is what you call a dark cloud pattern. What's a dark cloud pattern? Is a bearish candle that closes more than 50% into the range of the previous candle. So that points to the fact that we might be seeing yen strength coming into the market. So if we go to the daily now, if we go to the daily, we have this setup on the daily. Price is in this bullish order block. It's testing it. So on the 4-hour time frame, there is a possibility that we might see one more run. Because if you look at this already, there is a breaker and a mitigation here. We have this high. We have this high here, this low, this high, and there was no body close that much. Then price rallied. It did make a new high. Then it broke down. So what you'll be waiting for this week is for this to rally. And if it's going to rally, it might come up to 33.57.1 or 33.79.4 before it move back to the downside. So with that knowledge, if you go to the yen pairs, that's GBPJPY, it's still bullish, but it might be in its final leg. Why? Because if you look at where the price is, on the weekly time frame. So this is current price. Now price is at 182.76. If you go to the monthly, on chart, this is a monthly bearish order block. This is a monthly bearish order block. That's the last up candle before the down move that broke this point and this point. So now where prices is very significant. So what you're going to do now is this candle, you're going to pick the high and the low. It's going to be something like this, and the 50% of the body of the candle that's going to be here. So if I remove this, so that 50%, this is it here at 183.80. So if we move our chart forward, so going, this monthly chart. So let me drop down to the weekly. So going into the weekly, this may rally up into here because the yen is going to still rally one more leg up before probably continuing retracing lower. So this is going to rally up a bit before going back down. So going into the new week, I will expect this to rally first. It should not drop. To rally first into any of these areas, give a bearish formation, then the correction will start. So on the 4-hour time frame, 179.92 is broken by price. Then we can say that we have a short-term top on the pound yen, and we might see a retracement. So if we go to the pound, the euro yen, it's clear on the euro yen. Let me go to the weekly chart on the euro yen. Euro yen. Let me see. Put it on the monthly. On the monthly, if you look at it on the monthly, price is coming into a breaker on the monthly. We have this high, low, higher high, and a break. And price is at 156.55. This is where price is. So price is coming in into that point. If you go to the weekly time frame, price is at this structure point here. This is a structure point, the last up candle before this down move. So that's where price is. So going into this new week, I believe these two may rally. It may rally a bit, then we might start seeing the correction back to the downside. But for this, going into this new week, if it rallies first, then you know that by Wednesday, Thursday, the retracement might start. But if it drops first, that's I'm talking of the yen, pound yen, and the euro yen. Should it drop first, then start looking for opportunities to go long. So if you're going to be looking at that, you'll be looking for opportunities. As long as price stays above 154, it will continue to the upside. Once it breaks 154, you have a bearish setup, then any rally will be an opportunity for a short. Any questions? Any questions? Hello?
No question, no question.
Okay. So in the absence of any question from anybody, I think we're going to call it a night here. So I wish you all a beautiful Sunday ahead and a blessed and wonderful trading week ahead. Good night, everybody.